I am now legitimately crawling in here. This is really awesome. You can do a lot of stuff with this. What's up, agents? Zer here, welcome back to the lab, and today we're going to be discussing the brand new 1.12 update to Minecraft Bedrock Edition. And before I go ahead and get started, I do want to go ahead and tell you guys that I'm only going to be looking at a small amount of things from this update, and the reason for that is because this update is mostly just bug fixes, which is a bit of a disappointing thing, all things considered. But I do feel that what I'm going to be discussing is probably the most important features, at least for me personally. If you guys go down in the description, you will find a link to the changelog so you guys can read up on it if you want. Maybe there's something that I did not discuss in this video that you guys are excited about. I am not sure, but that's definitely there for you guys to look at. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, we're going to be looking at this block right here. This is the structure block, and this technically was in the game before but removed for reasons that I am not aware of. And this is what it looks like, and you can only access this block via commands, just like command blocks and barrier blocks. And as you can tell, it's got this box around this large area, and I did put up a few blocks high off the ground so you guys can see the lines down at the bottom. And unfortunately, its use is limited to just strictly Windows 10 edition, and I don't know if this is actually intended, which I actually kind of understand why it would be intended, or if it's still technically a work in progress. But what it does, I'm going to be showing you guys a screenshot that I downloaded from the Minecraft wiki of the actual GUI of this thing. Basically, what this does is that you can set the size of the box and where it gets offset, and from there it'll show you everything in that area so that you guys can go ahead and save it onto your hard drive. And I do remember when this was first introduced into the game, again, it was only limited to Windows 10 users, but you had the option to export your models to a website, which was later taken down. As far as I'm aware, that website is still technically down, but you can actually save your models to your hard drive, and then from what I understand, you will be able to load them in other places. I don't know how that works because obviously I cannot use this, but I think this is a cool block regardless, as long as you're on Windows 10, all things considered. So that's definitely interesting. Next up, we have some brand new add-on API for experimental gameplay, which is actually something I'm personally excited about. Not because that I'm actually a code for add-ons, because obviously I don't, but because of what it's actually able to do, and that's adding custom blocks, items, and crafting recipes. However, items and blocks are limited as of right now, because what I'm reading on the changelog is that it's limited to simple items and simple blocks. Because I don't work with the API, I do not know what that means. But for those of you who do work with the coding API for the add-ons, you either already know what this means, or you can figure out without too much of an issue. Regardless, I think this is actually pretty awesome, all things considered. This is getting us much closer to having official mods like they have on Java Edition. However, obviously directly inside of Minecraft, so that's actually not too bad, all things considered. Next up, we have a change to command blocks, and I actually do not remember seeing this in 1.11 because I work with command blocks on a regular basis. You guys should know this by now, and that's the fact that we have some new functions inside the left side of the GUI, and that's execute on first tick and delay in ticks. And I'm going to discuss delay in ticks first. So effectively what this does is it determines how long the game is going to go ahead and wait until it actually runs its command. So in this particular case, it says a delay in tick set to 0. So if I go ahead and run this, it's going to run it instantaneously. However, if, for example, I were to set this to, say, 50, this is going to cause it to take a lot longer to go ahead and run its command. However, if I were to set to maybe, I don't know, maybe 10. If I set this to 10, this is going to run a lot faster than it did the second time, but slower than the first time. Hopefully that makes some amount of sense. this actually, I think, is pretty useful because this means that you can just simply have a chain of command blocks and not have to worry about setting up long repeater lines to actually go ahead and run each individual command, which actually, that's very smart. I am not gonna lie about that. That's actually very smart. And then we also have execute on first tick, which unfortunately I was not able to find any information on this. However, I will go ahead and tell you guys what I assume this is supposed to mean. So first off, this only works if your block type is set to repeat. As you can tell, I'm set to impulse and I don't have access to it. Chain, same, repeat. Now I actually have access to turn this on and off. And what I assume this is for is so that when this command block is actually either activated or, well, technically, yes, activated, then this means that its command will not run instantaneously. That's what my assumption is. So if you have execute on first tick turned on, obviously would execute its command instantaneously, whereas if it was off, not the case. I'm just, like I said, assuming that's what it is because I couldn't find any information, but that's what I think is what it's supposed to do. So yeah, obviously I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research. If someone's actually able to figure out what it is, then you can let me know down in the comments section, which is gonna be a lot easier. But yeah, that's definitely there for you guys. So next up, we have something in the testing room, and this is actually technically listed as a bug fix. However, a lot of people are writing this off as an actual legitimate feature because of what it does. And that is the fact that we can actually now crawl in 1 block high places. Now, like I said, this is listed as a bug fix because what it says is that when you're swimming, you will no longer just simply stand up and clip through the block above you while you're in a 1 block high place. And people have figured out that you can use this without the need for water. So this actually works different than it does on Java Edition, where you can just simply have a block pushed on top of you, or you could basically just put a trapdoor right in front of you, open it, and close it down on your head, and you'll be pushed down. Unfortunately, that does not work as of right now, at least for Bedrock Edition. However, if you just go ahead and go into swim mode and just crawl right in, look at this. I am now legitimately crawling in here. This is really awesome. You can do a lot of stuff with this. Which, speaking of that a lot of stuff, something that I did actually figure out how to do with this is that you can actually create little tiny staircases, which is pretty cool thing to consider. So this is just basically using half slabs all the way up. So I can go ahead and climb all the way up. And this is how you go ahead and set this up. I'm actually going to go ahead and do a full-on tutorial on this a little bit later in a completely separate video to basically explain this in a little bit more detail. But if you take a closer look at it, you can probably figure this out without too much of an issue. However, there is one thing that I did discover with this, and that's the fact that if you're looking up, you will get stuck trying to go either up or down. It doesn't matter if you're going up or down. If you look up while you're doing this, you will end up getting stuck. You have to look either straight ahead or look down, and you'll be able to climb up. I'm not entirely sure why that is. Probably because your head is going in a position that it's not supposed to. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's the only way I can go ahead and make any sense of it. But yeah, you can just simply do this. Now, one thing that I do want to go ahead and mention is that people will still be able to see your name tags when you're in this position, and you do not have the option to crouch while you are crawling, which is a bit of a bummer, but does make sense. But the fact that we have this option now, I really do like this, which means you can effectively make a base that is only 1 block high. I do like this a lot. And technically speaking, I did do a lot of experimentation with this and found out that this does not work with staircases. Unfortunately, I did full-on testing with this. You have to use slabs in order to get this to work, which, like I said, is a bit of a disappointment, but it is what it is. But that's actually not too bad of a bug fix, technically, is what it is. But people, like I said, are writing this off as an actual feature. But yeah, other than that, that's actually where I'm going to go ahead and then things off. Again, there are more things that have been changed in this update. Like I said, it's mostly just bug fixes. And if there's anything else you guys are excited about, that's perfectly fine. These are just things that I thought were important to this update, just for me personally. But yeah, this is where I'm going to go ahead and end things off. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you did, make sure that like button. One more, make sure that subscribe for future content. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at AgentCPU0 to stay updated. This has been Zer0's. Thank you guys for watching, and with that, I'll see you guys later.